I'm starting to like, Adam, this isn't that kind of show.
Oh my.
Yeah, PG-13.
Oh my. Hey, you can say stuff like that in a PG-13 movie. You just can't show it.
Oh,
And if you do, it has to be from like the shoulders up.
Oh, family's calling. I'll be back.
They
Just
are
as we go
aware.
live. That was Badger, by the way. Tonight's episode of the Geek EZ is brought to you by Fruit of the Loom. They didn't think I was actually going to say it, and I did.
I'm not sure
Pants-
how, but it
We're a
is.
bunch of pantsless wonders.
Ah, a gentle breeze.
Tonight on the show, let's see, we got some Discovery to talk about, some Marvel, Ant-Man, and the whole slate of Marvel films that are coming out this year. I didn't realize there were 3 Marvel films this summer, or they're coming out.
Well, because they didn't start, talking about Ant-Man and Wasp, which I think comes before Infinity War. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, no, Infinity War comes first. Ant-Man
weird.
slated for July, Infinity War slated for May. But we'll get into that.
With us.
But we'll get into that. Yes, I don't know how it's going to play out. It's going to be really weird. What else we got going on? Nothing. Wolfie will be late. We are joined by Badger 2.0. Where Badger 1.0 is, I don't know. But he just left, so. And we'll be back after the opener.
Podcast is intended for mature audiences. The opinions expressed do not reflect this station or any affiliated partners. Listener discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geek EZ.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about? It's about nothing.
What's up, Firefly, over on Twitch? And if you're on Twitch and you want to go to YouTube, we're on YouTube too. You can find us on there. Check out our Facebook for the link. And if you're on YouTube and you want to go over to Twitch, we're over there too at twitch.tv/thegeekez. Simulcasting. We might actually change that. I don't know if I want to stay on YouTube.
Because of changes?
Yeah. There are other venues that we could go to. I'm not sure I want to stay on YouTube.
The other one, probably swap YouTube for Mixer.
There's that, but I mean, in the cases of possibly monetizing, there are other video and streaming places that you can go to. But we'll see. Trying to think. Where do we start? What do we do? I don't want to talk about Discovery because I know Wolfie has been chomping at the bit for that one, so. And he's not here yet.
Wolfie's just, chomping at the bit.
He's running late.
Why are we putting him with a riddle and everything? Wolfie's not the best option to use for, a mount or whatever.
Well, I guess we could probably start off with something that I just now noticed on CBR that was posted about an hour ago.
Well, that means, 15 reasons why that website sucks? Oh, I'm sorry. Little salty, am I?
Reason number 1, they don't vet their damn ads. Every time you go there on your phone, you think you're getting a virus.
Before we get too far along with that, I don't know if it's on YouTube, but on Twitch, it's just a black screen. It's live, there's sound, but there's nothing else going.
Really? Oh, yeah, there's nothing else on YouTube either. There's sound. What's going on? How come it's not showing up? Let me push
on
the button
YouTube?
again.
Wait, YouTube or Twitch?
Okay, you know what? It's really weird. Even though the button was highlighted, that channel was not playing.
Huh.
Really odd. Thank you for letting me know that.
That just happened glance, like, huh, that's staying black a long time. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, so apparently they got it via the Hollywood Reporter.
And that would be?
Supposedly, first ad for Solo will drop during the Super Bowl.
Really?
But they weren't even close to being finished with it.
Well, I wonder how much the NFL had to pay Disney to do that, to get a bunch of nerds to watch the Super Bowl.
Well,
they only watch for the commercials anyway.
That's just it. Last year and the year before that, I just looked through it's like, how face was that last year, or your memories, and I made a comment that a week before the Super Bowl, the ads were online. So watching the Super Bowl was a moot point if all you do is go to watch the ads, which is what I do. And so far, the only one I've seen posted like is the Peter Dinklage, Morgan Freeman Mountain Dew Doritos ad,
which is kind of awesome.
Yes.
Funny thing about that, it's quite literally a song of ice and fire.
Yes, it is. But, I mean, that's the only one I've seen so far, and I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. It at least gives me a reason to put it. I mean, a game I care less about who's playing, and it's like, the only reason to watch the Super Bowl is the ads. And even that, the ads have been kind of meh over the past few years, so... I mean, that's how they get nerds to watch Good Morning America. They used to do it during that.
Yeah, well, the teams that are playing this year, it's just a repeat of a previous Super Bowl. And as I've told some others, yes, we don't like the Eagles, but we hate the Patriots more, so we support the Eagles insofar as it's like a contingent position up until the point that
who are
the
the
game
Patriots
is over.
playing?
Eagles.
Are they playing the Eagles?
Yes.
Oh.
This is a repeat.
Okay. So that makes sense of the meme I saw somebody post where it had the post office logo and the Eagles logo, and it said, what do these two Eagles have in common? It said neither one of them deliver on a Sunday.
Oh. Funny.
And it's funny. I mean, I could care less. It's like, yeah, Eagles, whatever. But, yeah, it's just like the Patriots in a Super... again? Really? How many footballs are they going to soften this time?
The Cheatriots?
The Cheatriots. I said that to my son. He's like, "Who's playing the Super Bowl?" I was like, "I know the Patriots are, but they're probably cheating again." He's like, "What do you mean again?" I was like, "Yeah, well, you don't soften footballs and fill them full of helium."
They go to throw the ball and it just keeps going up.
Well, no, I think it would just lighten it enough. It would give it some serious distance. I mean, there wouldn't be enough helium in there to lift the weight completely. I don't think.
I feel like this should be a MythBusters thing. They should test this.
Yes, they should.
That would require Mythbusters to be Mythbusters anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's still... the show's not bad. It's just not Mythbusters. I wonder, it's like it's like that whole BS about putting nitrogen in your tires. My mother-in-law, she had to go find specific places where she could fill her tires because they put nitrogen in her tires. And they were like, oh, well, it's better than putting regular air in your tires. And when you do the research on it, no, it's not.
You're just stuck with going to a dealership.
You're just stuck going to a dealership and sometimes having to pay for it. Instead, it's like, okay, well, I can't just put air in my tire. But
because then you have to replace it.
But what happens if you put helium in your tires? Does your car float?
I'm not sure. It does make you wonder.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, again, it's light. It's still a gas, so it would fill your tire. But, I mean, it's not going to lift your car off the ground, but it would definitely make your car float a little more on the road, wouldn't it?
I would wonder what it would do to the tire. That's the
Well, I think that's what they get. It was like, well, nitrogen. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Again, these
it's
are
one of those things we have to try out now.
Science guys should look into.
Well, what I'll do is I'll go flatten all my tires, and I'll buy a couple of those helium canisters you get for birthdays, and I'll fill all my tires and see what happens. When my car floats away and ends up in another state, I'll let you know.
I found your car.
I'll just get in and blast the Back to the Future soundtrack.
That seems fitting. For the oh, wait a minute, here we go. We got Firefly. Well, helium and helium. Well, I'm glad we covered both. Are inert gases, so maybe that's why they don't use it. I don't know. I'm not. I did not do well in chemistry. As a side note, if you can't tell by the sound of my voice, two things. One, different headsets, so it doesn't sound as clear as it used to. One broke. How annoying. And two, I have the flu. So,
which is funny. You said you weren't going to do as much, and you've been hammering it up.
I'm getting what energy I can and putting it out
Rock
there
on.
while I have it.
Do it. Do it.
Oh, and he meant nitrogen. That was the other thing.
Nitrogen, yes, it is. Nitrogen is an inert gas. Yeah, that's they claim that's why they were putting it in there, because it's inert and blah blah and all that. And it's like, but it really doesn't do anything different for your tires. Oh, you know what? With the I wasn't gonna do this on the show because it's one of those subjects where you start touching it and all of a sudden things blow up in your face. But I just it hit me because of some of the comments I saw. I think it was on Screen Rant. No, screw Hufflepuff.
Screw you too, buddy.
With the release of the Ant-Man trailer, even though some of us haven't seen it,
I actually did.
There has been some consternation among a certain group of people in the geeky side of things and movie buffing and Marvel fans of the outfit on Wasp, and that it's ridiculous that her outfit has boobs in the outfit. That if it's supposed to be armor, then it shouldn't have boobs and blah blah blah. And I was laughing because I was reading. I think it was on Screen Rant, and there were a lot of women. I'm breaking up. So, and I think one of the better comments on there, because this whole long article is about how ridiculous armor with boobs in it is. And yes, armor with boobs in it is ridiculous. If you're going to have a breastplate, it should be one solid piece of metal that goes across that protects everything instead of being all kind of jumbled up. And visually, for films, yes, it makes sense, but does it make sense in the long run to be protective? Not so much.
I was under the impression that it wasn't actually armor.
It's not. It's a superhero costume.
It's a suit, not a suit of armor.
Yeah, it's a suit. It's a suit, not a suit of armor. But then there's the whole aspect of you can see a penis in it if you flip her upside down instead of a wasp's face and all that kind of. I was like, oh dear lord, it's a wasp face, guys. Yeah, you're looking too hard. But I think I really wish we had a girl or a woman on this show to have a bouncing board on this kind of stuff, because it was a lot of women commenting on this. And it blew my mind that this one woman says it's really funny that the entire article is about how men are objectifying this character, and it's an objectification and blah, 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 but the only one complaining about it are women. The guys aren't sitting there saying, oh, look at her, you can see. I mean, nobody's making comments about leery comments. The only people making leery comments and basically shaming the character and the costume are other women. And I was like, ooh.
I think it's the one that they got in the film's not all that bad. She's had some...
I've seen worse. I have seen much worse. And again, it was just like, I realized what the designer was going for. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the designer is a woman. I got to look that up. But they were going for the different faces of the insects. And the wasp's breasts just happened to be the place for the eyeballs on the face of a wasp. And that's how the suit is built. So we got that. And it's not the first article I saw on the whole that it's accentuating her form. Of course it is. She's a superhero.
We also saw that at the end of the last film.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a superhero movie. They all, in comic books, they look like painted people. If you can see a belly button, it's just a painted suit. I don't know. I just thought it was really weird.
Plus, most of her costumes in the comics have been pretty tight-fitting.
Yeah, and
Very
there's been a few where there were a few kind of whoa. Again, though, those were designed mostly by guys. I will say that there is an objectification at times.
There was the one in the Avengers Assemble TV series. They had like a little skirt built into it,
which she's worn a lot in the books. She's always had like a little mini skirt. She looked like one of the Bugaloos. Just showed how old I am right there. Because you're all going, what the hell's a blues?
I don't know. I've heard of Bugaloo.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
let's be honest. Could be worse.
Adam,
Yeah, that's true.
I'm pretty sure when we go off air, you're probably going to post what I just typed into the Facebook group. Or not Facebook group, but the Facebook page.
Wait, you're on Facebook?
No.
No, I just posted in the chat here.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah,
Oh.
it's again. I think it's just people seeing things that they're looking too deeply. You want to complain?
Yeah, I mean,
sure, it's a legit complaint to make, but all the same, you're complaining about the wrong things, and I don't know how.
It's if you want to flip it. Well, one of the things that has been brought up in many of these conversations is the constant. Well, you're objectifying women. It's like there was some because of Wonder Woman's outfit and all that kind of stuff, and it's just like, where are you guys? Where are you? All these screaming about objectification when you have scenes of Jason Momoa and Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans and everybody shirtless for no other reason aside from being shirtless. Like the bathing scene in Thor was absolutely necessary.
Of course, it was. No.
Or the Wonder Woman one.
To be fair, I mean, it's things that'll bring eyeballs into the theater and just
Yeah.
So they know it works.
But and don't get me wrong, I know that out there. I mean, I don't want people to think, "Oh, listen to this sick bastard." No, I understand that there is objectification.
What's the old saying again? Oh yes, sex sells.
It does. But in all honesty, I don't see the Wasp's costume as ultra sexy.
No.
Is it form-fitting? Yes. It's no more form-fitting than a sports bra and yoga pants. And those are utilitarian. So.
I mean, there's no skin showing.
No, not at all. I mean, she's completely covered. Unlike Wonder Woman, who's in a bustier and a skirt.
And even hers actually covers more than the original comic version.
And even Linda Carter's. There was a monstrous amount of cleavage in Linda Carter's Wonder Woman suit. And let's not get into the Adrian Padalecki one from the failed. I think that was not Joss Whedon's, but can't remember the guy who made it. But the pilot that I have seen, it's out there. You can see it.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just say that she could not lift her arms because there'd be a whole lot of mishaps going on. But
don't need that.
I don't know. I just found it really funny. And I think the one that struck me most was the comment from one woman to another, because it was a female writer on the article, was like, it seems to be really funny that the only people who see the objectification and objectify it even more are women. And it was like, oy, oy, oy. Well, now you're just opening a can of worms. Which is why we should put a call out. We need a female panelist.
Female panelist wanted. There's no pay, unfortunately.
No pay whatsoever.
No, but she must hold her own against the terrible puns that Wolfie will make.
We do need some additional perspectives, so
we do. At
by all
times.
means, if anybody's interested, hit us up.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to expand the panel a little bit and diversify. But, Wolfie, where the hell are you? I don't talk about disco. But
Disco Fever.
So Solo, the Super Bowl, Star Wars during the Super Bowl. Something's wrong with that picture.
Yeah, yes, Firefly. Any person who wishes to be a panelist must be able to keep up with obscure references.
Also have a thick hide.
Yes.
No, that angers me.
Really? I thought anti-tank mines triggered you.
No, he triggers anti-tank mines. The must have I wouldn't say that it's a thick. Be able to be able to fall into the gutter every now and then and not get offended by it. Which, believe me, I know quite a few women that make me blush. Woof.
Yeah, apparently for the latest Duke Nukem game, a lot of that was written by women.
Woof. And women can be raunchy. Woof. But I mean, we don't get raunchy, but I mean, we get heated, and there are sometimes made and things. I mean, again, this was a subject I was like, it's one of those touchy subjects because we're all a bunch of guys, and they're like, oh. But I thought it was funny that this woman brought it up that it was only women that seemed to always objectify things.
It is an interesting perspective, and it would be good to actually have that present to talk about that, get that perspective.
True.
Because otherwise, we're just literally at the outside looking in. Somebody, of that gender would have a different perspective than we would.
True. And again, I mean, I hope I speak for all of us, where it's like we do have the utmost respect for women, so. At least I hope we do.
Word from Wolfie. Where is he? He is hurrying. Oh man, we need a sound effect that just sounds like somebody,
Oh, that's why we have the,
we need the old.
I would say that's why we have the post-it.
Yeah, we need the old Flintstones foot sound effect.
Do we
the
post
xylophone
edit anymore?
Post edit? No, I just put them up there live. I don't worry about it. Not until we start doing live or doing remastered audio versions again, which is coming as soon as I get site completely
coming
soon.
TM. Trademarked.
Oh my goodness, there's a lot of bugs. Trying to get it to where, it's just buggy.
I was gonna say, it's sad when both me and Alistair thought the exact same thing.
Only good bug is a dead bug.
Doug Drexler's on that. Doug Drexler's on that.
On what?
So someone gave him a picture and he posted up on his Facebook. It's him in a Battlestar Galactica uniform holding what looks like a gun from Aliens, and it's Doug Drexler starring in The Neighbors Are Too Goddamn Loud.
I thought that was a.
That's a Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers gun.
Yeah, that's totally Starship Troopers.
I thought it was Battlestar Galactica.
Either way, it's still funny.
And
the outfit's
an Aliens
more
gun.
is more along the lines of Starship Troopers.
Yeah, I mean, even the text it's all Starship Troopers. And he's ready to take down the neighbors.
Well, I posted this on the Facebook thing, since we're still waiting for him and he's hurrying, about the reboot thing, where I wrote an open letter to Hollywood that I would rather sit through reruns than sit through another reboot. Saying that, and then reading the news that Zachary Quinto will be in a reboot of In Search of, which back in the 70s starred Leonard Nimoy.
Is that really a reboot, though, as more as it is as a continuation?
I think it's more of a continuation.
Yeah, I mean, because they're just taking what were considered mysteries at the time, I mean, when Leonard Nimoy did it, and making, making a show based on those.
Yes.
Well, building on that. Now, we got plenty of things that could still be considered mysteries, so...
True. I mean, and then it's like, if you're talking reboot would be the new Heather show, which I, in all honesty, hope flops completely because it just looked like crap from the start. But I've heard people complain that Discovery was a reboot. Discovery is not a reboot. It's just another series in the Star Trek genre or line.
And it's continuing the time-honored tradition of ignoring what came before it.
Exactly. So it's fine, and it's fine. It's a Star Trek show set in the Star Trek universe. It is not a reboot. It's not like the JJ movies, which were a reboot of Star Trek to a point. Reboot would be Lost in Space on Netflix. Or every time they get a new James Bond. Even though those are continuations as well.
Ish.
Sort of. Ish. But I saw there was a whole bunch of things that were getting... I mean, we got Roseanne coming back, and then they're talking about, what was it? Not Coach. What was the other one? Well, we got Fuller House, which is...
That's more of a continuation.
Yeah,
Girl,
and so
Girl
is
Meets
Roseanne.
World.
Girl Meets World was a reboot slash. I mean, it was both. It was both a reboot and that kind of stuff, where it was like taking something, but they made something new from it. I mean, they kind of still created around it while they took existing characters and they created more of it. So it's different, unlike, say, The Lost in Space, which is taking characters and then rewriting from the ground up. Same with Battlestar Galactica. It was a reboot. But In Search of is something, I mean, I just laughed when I saw that it was Zachary Quinto. It was like, oh, well, I wonder if they did that on purpose. Of course they did. It's like, hey, you want to do this thing that Leonard did? Oh, well, yes, I do. Thank you very much. I used to love that show. And I only saw it in reruns.
Firefly is preparing some links for us. One of them, I think both of them are going to be for Discovery. The first one he posted before, we didn't get a chance to talk about it. It's A Lament for Tilly, the biggest waste of material in Star Trek Discovery. So when Wolfie shows up, then you guys have something to discuss. Additionally, I should say.
A Lament for Tilly, the biggest waste of material. You know what? I will say, when it comes to Tilly, it is refreshing to see that a character doesn't have to be 34, 24, 34, or 36, 26, 30, or yeah. She is a plus-size woman, I will say it that way. She is not a small, tiny little waif thin, and they got her front and center. Unlike every other Star Trek show that, unless they were side characters or the comic relief, were always these like perfect human specimens. No one had a waist size, and none of the guys had a waist size over 32. Except for Frakes in the later seasons.
I'm here! I made it!
And that's all, folks. Talk to you later.
Catch your breath. You've been running a long time. You ran.
The door opened and a Fig Newton entered. I love Groucho Marx. That's a Groucho Marx quote. Quark. Yeah, well, I think the last larger person they had in a role on Star Trek was Neelix, wasn't it? Well, no, yep. Phlox was big. Phlox was not a svelte person.
We also had, I can't think of his name right now. Oh, John Rhys Davies.
But I'm talking about a series regular.
Well, sure. I'm just saying, as somebody on the show, there's been a couple admirals that were regulars that were, larger than life.
But even then, none of the women were. It was always guys.
What are we discussing?
Tilly, the fact that she's a character that's front and center, and she is not she's not a, what's the word I'm looking for? The as they put it, the ideal Hollywood 36, 24, 36. She's curvaceous. She's just a bigger woman. It's not a bad thing, but it's like it's one of those. It's one of their differences from the other Star Trek shows, where it's like 7 of 9. It's like, woof. Yeah, the supermodel look. Thank you, Firefly.
Well, according to the blog entry that was posted, the guy, I'm assuming it's a guy, I'm probably wrong. There were 2 elements of Tilly's character that they really liked. She's determined to be a captain one day. She is theoretically the best engineer on the ship. Then another one, nope, sorry, screwed that up. She's the best theoretical engineer on the ship. So, because of Tilly's scientific ability, she was in fact fast-tracked through the Academy to serve on the most advanced science and research vessel in Starfleet, which is, an organization made up almost exclusively of scientists and engineers. In short, on a vessel full of extremely clever people, she is the cleverest. And so, what tasks are befitting the best theoretical physicist on the ship and probably in the entirety of Starfleet? Boarding a ransacked vessel to retrieve a few hard drives, moving canisters of sparkly goo from one hole to another, dropping Trek's first ever strategic F-bomb, sending thoughts and prayers to a dying space teddy bear, providing moral support for her roommate, not even kidding, that's literally what they say in the show, moving more canisters around, running, scanning a large space whale with a tricorder, counting down from 133 while moving canisters from one hole to another hole.
As someone who served in the military and had West Point cadets come to the unit, it didn't matter how good they were, they got used for menial stuff.
Sure.
You know what, though?
We ignored the cadets.
The other aspect of Tilly's character, now I've had to go back and watch the shows, the couple that I missed because I was like, Tilly's character, I almost think the growth was too fast. The first time we saw her in the first few episodes, she was she was nervous and constantly jittery. And then it's like they get to the mirror universe, and all of a sudden she is this, like, she's Bonnie Badass.
If you notice, though, she was nervous and jittery, and then it's one of those things where when you start pretending to be confident, you become confident.
Yeah, and it's like, and
which is a legitimate thing.
I kind of wish they had eased up on some of that nervous twitch stuff in the beginning, because it's almost jarring, because she goes from one episode to the next and it's like a totally different personality. And the only one that has that character trait in them right now that makes sense is Stamets.
I think some of it has to do, though, with Stamets didn't treat her like a brilliant mind.
Until now.
Well,
he doesn't have a choice but to recognize it now, because he knows that she's the reason he's not in a coma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did have more to say. That to your point about doing the physical stuff, they said that they're not specifically saying that any of those physical tasks are beneath the theoretical physicist. What they're saying is that they're probably beneath the best theoretical physicists on the ship, particularly when that ship is literally propelled by an engine whose mechanisms exceed humanity's understanding of the universe. And what they had honestly hoped for, after Tilly told her credentials, was that cool scene where they encounter an entirely new scientific problem. And so turn to the genius cadet to see if...
It does happen with her bringing Stamets back.
We get a hint of it when Tilly, Stamets, and Burnham try to figure out an alternative to use the tardigrade in episode 5, but the role in that conversation is to just repeat information that everybody already knows and then say, fuck. Ding.
When was that written?
The 14th.
Because it completely skips over that she's the only one that figured out how to bring Stamets back.
So it's like, yeah, because it could make a point if the fact that what's happened in the past 3 or 4 episodes have not completely decimated that concept.
Well, you're looking at 2 episodes past now.
Also, we saw at the party episode that there is a more confident person underneath the outer shell.
True. See, Wolfie, we held off until you got here to start talking Discovery.
Thank you. I was listening as best I could while driving back and forth from where I was going.
It's all good. So yeah, all you missed was wasp boobs.
Yeah, I heard some of that. I just I don't know how to chime in on that at the moment.
You cannot brain.
I can't brain right now.
I don't know. I saw something on one of the Star Trek Discovery groups today related to Tilly that kind of made me groan. Somebody had a side shot of her from the last episode, and the first thing they ask is she pregnant?
Oh, for God's sakes, people.
Again, no, she's just not her model, what everybody's envisioned of the perfect human is.
Well, I will say the majority of responses, like 99% of them, were all, hey, A, you don't ask things like that, and B, there's nothing wrong with her. The person tried to defend it by saying, well, she looks bigger than she did in previous episodes.
Well, I will say that this costume designing on the show does not lend itself for someone whose body is not going to fit in something that fits into, like, someone the size of the actress who plays Burnham. I mean, she's a tiny little person in a skin-tight outfit, and when you don't have that form, when you throw someone into a skin-tight outfit, it does look different. And at times it looks awkward.
In times it just does not look flattering at all.
Yes, and it's not, it's nothing against the actress herself. It's just that it's not a flattering look, And that's more the fault of the costume designers and everything happening. I mean, it's that whole skin tight, shiny. It's in the future, so it has to be skin tight and shiny. And there's nobody fat in the future. That was what Star Trek used to be. There's nobody fat unless they're comic relief.
Or your name is Scotty.
Well, that was later, and they all got old. Old people are allowed to get fat.
If you watch the original series, he's not a twig by any means.
No, he's not a twig. I mean, neither was Shatner when you really think about it.
Yeah, but they gave Shatner a girdle. They didn't give Doohan one.
They at least could have gave him a girdle that kind of didn't show up underneath his costume so often. And you know what's really sad? I didn't see it before until someone posted a picture of, you can see the actual netting from his toupee.
Really?
Oh, yeah, in HD. Shatner's. In HD, when they do close-ups on Shatner's face, there are certain times under certain lighting that you can see the actual line of where it is glued to his head.
In the movies or the original series?
The original series. Now, the movies got much better.
Now, that was one of the things that always threw me when I was a little kid. Like, I could recognize that he was the same person, but the hair was so drastically different as to be
There was more of it.
Did he lose it in between the original series and then the films?
I think he was already thinning before he started.
It's not even that there's more of it. It goes from blonde and straight to brown and curly.
It was red. He was redheaded.
He was more of a redhead.
Back in the 60s, he has hairs that's like mine, and mine's going.
So, I mean,
it's very fine and thin.
I don't know. I've always thought of T.O.S. Kirk as a dirty blonde.
Speaking of hair, the shot of the actors from Discovery off screen. I can never. What's the actress who plays Burnham?
Sonequa Martin Green.
Okay, she is wearing her hair in braids and stuff like that would look awesome on that character, and they always have her look like she just woke up.
I don't understand the constant changing of hair in this series.
Yeah, that's why I like Saru. He has no hair.
Individuality.
He's also apparently delicious. I don't know.
Well, no, for a series that has been very much about empowering women for the most part, it's an odd quirk. It's like, oh, the women have some machine that lets them. They have the Jetsons hairstyling machine somewhere, and they use it constantly, and it just doesn't fit with the way they've portrayed the women on the show.
You know, if you think back to like Voyager, there was an awful lot of changes, but it was over the course of season, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't multiple hairstyles in one episode, which we've seen on Discovery.
Yeah, unless it was, part of the episode in question. They've gotten into a fight or transformed.
Well, now we did see Janeway's hair get messed up, and then every time she would beam back to the ship, it would be fixed.
It's transporter brushes.
No. It's the pattern, man. The pattern's in the system. They tell us that very thoroughly in TNG. It's probably set up with an automatic program that when the captain comes back, she at least has presentable hair.
But see, by that theory, they should be using the transporter to cure all major injuries.
Yeah. Of course, you'd forget what happened previously.
That all depends on if you believe that the transporter actually is just making a copy of you.
Well, no, it's not even that. They use it to de-age victims of the aging virus, so therefore they could use the previous pattern to override the current pattern.
True.
The transporter, as long as you save an old enough trace, is essentially an immortality machine. As long as you save the old enough trace pattern.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not.
Technically speaking, they did do that.
Yeah, but then you get into the paradox of whether or not they have the same consciousness. Immortality means you attain the same consciousness.
Oh, geez, could you imagine? Have you seen The Prestige?
Yes.
Yes.
Prestige on Next Generation. It would work so well.
Yes, it would. Oh, if you go by the aspect that the transporter breaks you down, basically kills you, and then rebuilds what it knows of you back on the pad, so it's a different entity than it was that got beamed up. Could they not go to, say, Captain Kirk's grave, beam up his dead body using a transporter pattern of him earlier, and he would be alive?
They'd had to have kept that, and the only ship that really had that pattern was the Enterprise.
They wouldn't even need to beam him up. They would simply need to put enough energy into the system to reconstitute the old pattern.
Yeah,
Wait,
see,
hold on.
replicator.
I thought that their systems didn't keep a log of the patterns.
Oh yeah, they do. They specifically say that.
On TNG,
they
do, or Pulaski would have died of the aging virus.
Yes.
And
Okay.
Picard and 3 others would have stayed kids.
And it's conversations like this why this is the Geek EZ.
We get very geeky here. But it's fun.
It is fun. This is the kind of stuff that it's like, even though we're sitting there, we're not really nitpicking minutia, we're just talking about sometimes the theoretical and silliness of certain texts in Star Trek.
That, as I recall with TNG, they had complaints about the whole replicator. They didn't like it, so they did everything they could to avoid it because it ruined story potential. And they got a point. These transporters are the exact same way. It's kind of surprised they didn't notice that one sooner. Because it's the same technology.
I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
Can we talk about? I don't know if you guys have ever talked about this on here, but that holodeck on Discovery.
They have a holodeck?
Not really. They have holographic training programs.
I was going to say they should have at least a recreation room. I mean, that's what Prize original had.
The original Enterprise did have a holographic recreation room.
Well, and we know that NX encountered holographic technology when Trip gets pregnant.
Yes.
And then they got sold to the Klingons, I think, but the Federation also had it, except that they couldn't. They didn't get the technology figured out until the time of TNG, or at least that's how it's been retconned.
And even though the animated series is still a bone of contention with a lot of Ananistas out there, there was a holographic recreation deck on the Enterprise on the animated series, which is pretty much considered canon by the powers that be. So,
I think the way I've always considered it, as I've watched more of the series and everything, is that the D is the first ship with a holodeck that is seamless. There's no signs at all that it's fake. Because if you watch the Discovery one, it blinks and stuff.
It does. It's more like Star Wars hologram. It phases, it has shifts, it has the glitch kind of thing going on, which would probably, when you think about hard light constructs like that, or there would definitely be any sort of dust or whatever floating through the air that would pass in front of the emitters.
There's also no signs that it's capable of running longer, more complex programs with anything beyond like basic training protocols, as opposed to the AI-like characters of TNG.
And basically, it was a hallway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, in the case of TNG, I mean, they were using force fields and photonic light so that everything, including the dust that was kicked up.
Yeah, it was incorporating transporter technology involved, so it was like all of it was all replicator, transporter, everything, all involved in one room.
Can I also state that I really want not a replicator, but a holodeck? That would be amazing.
Well, We'll once we round this back around, I'll bring that up because I had read an article about this, or seen a video and I read an article on it. But what were you going to say, Alistair?
Also, since a lot of the people who like to complain about, Discovery not being actual Trek, also like to point out their love for the novels. The TOS novels well established that there were holographic training suites on the Enterprise.
Yes. Now this is where this constant complaining and stuff, and I laugh because the hatred that the vitriol and all, just the spitting that happens when one comes in, says they like Discovery, and then there's that group that doesn't, and all of a sudden it's a screaming match on any chat room or Twitter, wherever you go. Yet within the same groups and forums and all that kind of stuff, people still badmouth Enterprise. People are still badmouthing Voyager and all the other ones, and no one bats an eye. It's just taken in stride, and some people say, well, that's your opinion, all that. But the moment you bring up Discovery, you're not a real Trekkie, you're not a real fan, you've never been... I'm like, really? How come it's okay to hate the JJ movies and dislike Enterprise and all that kind of stuff, but God forbid you don't like Discovery and or vice versa? I don't get it. It's because fans suck.
So this way, if you're a Trek fan, you enjoy all of Trek. Everything that it has to offer. Every show, every book, every fucking... Sorry.
There's one.
There's one. Sorry, I have the mouth of a sailor. Everything. The books, the movies, the shows, everything. Fan fiction. Everything. You enjoy it because you like Trek. Not because so-and-so did a bad job with this show or whatever. Who cares? It's Star Trek.
That's still subjective.
Badger, you'll change your mind on who cares it's Star Trek if you read anything by Leslie Owens.
I'm sorry, but that was funny. Not expected, but funny. But it's still subjective. It's like you can have. It's like I know Tank doesn't like the original series, but he still likes Star Trek.
Well, I watched it all, and I have an appreciation for it. But is it my favorite? No, not by far.
That's how I feel about Voyager. I've watched all of it. It's taken me 17 years since the show aired to watch the entire series. I gave up after the fourth season. I gave up regularly watching the show after the fourth season. I didn't watch it on a weekly basis. I did watch it. It wasn't like I had to run home to watch it. And if something else was on or I missed it, I wasn't losing my mind about it. But with streaming media and Blu-rays or DVDs and all that kind of stuff, I have seen the entire series, or 99% of it. And I still have the opinion that it's just not the best Star Trek series. I actually like Enterprise more than I like Voyager.
And I agree with you. I like Enterprise better than Voyager.
But
and, Enterprise...
do I not watch Voyager? No, I still watch it. It's still Star Trek.
I think, and I'm not defending any of the vitriol in the Discovery argument on either side. I think a lot of the people attacking people for complaining about Discovery stems from initially many of the people complaining hardcore about Discovery were the ones complaining about the fact that it was on CBS All Access. The ones complaining before they even saw the show.
True. And there are other aspects involved.
It was a knee-jerk reaction on some people's parts. And so now they're not taking for proper constructive criticism. They're still viewing it as an attack in general.
There is
which
also
is not
a minority.
the proper reaction.
Wolfie, there is, and I hate in this up because it's a giant elephant in the room at times. But there is a minority of those same fans. The same fans that were anti-CBS All Access, and a lot of fans that were anti-CBS.
Oh, are you going to say the A word?
Reasons. I'm not. Yes, I'm going to say it. Axanar was a major factor in a lot of the hatred that goes on towards Discovery from a vocal minority of that group. There are some out there who just don't like it just because. But there is a vocal group that because of Axanar and the lawsuit and CBS and all of that, anything that had to do with CBS, they were the evil ones. So therefore, anything that they produce is just never going to be good because they were bad. But that is a factor involved, and you see it a lot. I was amazed how many people out there still, even though they're not in the Axanar anti-Axanar circles, still bring up Axanar as a reason and or one of those examples kind of thing. I was like, oh okay, what?
Oh yeah, it came up in one of the groups today. Somebody was saying, "So are we heading towards Axanar now?"
You know what? I wouldn't put it past them.
They own the rights. They can do that if they want to.
Yeah. Would it make everybody out there lose their minds? Probably.
Oh, yes.
But
I don't know from certain conversations I've had with people, and you've been part of, with
Mhm.
people connected somewhat inside the Star Trek verse,
Yes.
it sounds like most of the people working on Discovery have no idea what Axanar even is.
True.
Which is not
Sure.
a terrible surprise, I'm
No.
sure. I mean, you ask Doug Drexler, he knows, but
Yeah.
he's not involved.
Well, Doug also knows because Doug hangs out in some of those circles.
True.
And Doug is close to certain people that were involved or on the edge of that situation.
They're on the edge.
Either way, I mean, it's still, that is a contributing factor. But whether for or against, Discovery seems to be, I think it's because it's the newest thorn in the side and or feather in the hat, depending on what side of the argument you're on. And it's because it's a fresh wound for some and it's a fresh take for others. That's why, because it's like Enterprise is now, what, 12 years old? Oh my god, it's older than that.
I the new kid on the block.
I know one of the complaints about Discovery has been that, oh, they're trying to be mature and copy Game of Thrones and all this other modern stuff. And my opinion on that is CBS understands something that most hardcore Trek fans don't. That while hardcore Trek fans spend lots of money on the franchise, they don't spend enough to justify a big budget TV show unless it brings in non-hardcore fans.
True.
So you need a tentpole modern style show to bring in those people. Then you can maybe produce a secondary show that will carry over some of that audience.
And it's been done aside from like Game of Thrones, which is constantly pushing the envelope, and I guess Westworld and stuff like that, and a lot of the other cable network shows. Star Trek, and there have been other reboots and other shows that have out guns a-blazing in the first season just to get the people hooked and to watch it, and then ease back in their following seasons and started telling more relaxed kind of atmosphere episodes, staying within the format that they had made. They just pulled back on the throttle a little bit, so it wasn't all look what we can do and look what we can say and look what we're showing you, and getting that shock factor in, which some of the stuff they did on Enterprise Discovery was to get people to watch it. It's like, what? They said the F-bomb on Star Trek? And people tuned in just to see an F-bomb on Star Trek.
Because they're curious to see, okay, how do they throw it in there?
Yeah, they want to see how they throw it in there. It's like, if and when they do a final human full nude scene or whatever they're going to do, if they ever do. I don't know if they'd ever go that far. I mean, we got it with the Klingons and the crazy inverted Klingon nipples or whatever that was. But if they go far into that direction, which I'm surprised they didn't, maybe it's in the actresses and stuff clauses that they don't do nude scenes and stuff, because they had the opportunity a few times already and they haven't done it. And it was actually because it would have slowed the story down or whatever. But when they go to that, people tune in for that. It was kind of like the South episode where they said shit. They did it on purpose, and they kept the counter going and stuff just for the shock value to get people to watch the show. And then they ease back. If you watch South Park nowadays compared to South Park, what it was the first few seasons, it's a totally different show.
It's been around a long time.
Yeah, they have.
I think one of the things that people are forgetting is, well, my theory is Voyager, if they had waited until the end of DS9 to launch Voyager, I don't think Voyager would have worked. Voyager overlapped with DS9 for 4 seasons.
Yes.
And so I think you got the carryover from Voyager started when DS9 hit its strongest period.
Yes.
And I think that's, that is what carried over into Voyager, because Voyager was a very different show than DS9.
Whereas Enterprise is a very different show from Voyager.
Yes, but I don't think Voyager was strong enough to act as a lead into Enterprise.
It really wasn't. There's no real connection between the two.
No, there's no connection to the two because again, they went. It was instead of going forward into the future, they shot back 100 years. And the same with Discovery. I think that's a lot of people's issue as well. And you know what? I have changed my tune after watching the entire series now, and some of the fears I had waylaid about what they're going to do and what they're going to say and how they're going to portray this. While I still have some issues with the characterization and the lack of character development here and there, and some things, the last few episodes were very Deep Space Nine-esque.
The final season of Enterprise is really good, except for the last episode.
Yeah, that was not a good way to wrap it up.
But I mean, would you agree that the last bit of the Mirror Universe arc in Discovery had it was very on par with, say, the 5th and 6th season of Deep Space Nine?
I liked the Mirror Universe stuff, don't be wrong, but it did feel very rushed.
True.
We never even saw... They made this huge deal out of the Defiant, and we never even saw it.
No. Then they did make
it was this big red herring, and nothing came of it.
Curious whether or not... how many more episodes do we have? 3 or 4? They got, 16 episodes this season?
Not enough.
I don't remember. I think it's 2 or 3.
Either way, we've got a couple episodes. You never know what's going to happen because of the way they've left the story as it is with the Mirror Universe crossing over still. I don't want to spoil too much for Day.
Was the green spore Hugh?
Maybe. I honestly didn't take it as more than just to say that the spores were alive. But
was the green spore what?
Hugh.
The Doctor.
The Doctor.
Someone pointed out that it's probably actually Lorca.
Yeah,
someone noticed that they saw a green spore floating away as Lorca was falling to his death.
Now,
to me, that would more suggest that it's the Doctor. The Doctor's escaping from the explosion.
True. I love Michelle Yeoh as an actress. It was like the James Bond movies, all of her movies in China, and her martial arts aspects and stuff like that. And yes, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is an awesome film. Watching her go full Michelle Yeoh in that last episode just was awesome. Even though a lot of it was stunt woman, and you could tell badly in HD. They didn't even try to hide it. It was kind of like the old episodes of Star Trek where they didn't care. It's like, well, that guy isn't even built like William Shatner.
I thought they did a good job of making it appear like Isaacs could almost keep up with her.
True. And yeah, but Michelle Yeoh, just that kick. Oh, it was just like that. I literally went, yeah! And I didn't think I would get that excited for an episode of Discovery, but that one was like, it was one of those nail biter kind of, what are they going? Where are they going? This is awesome. This is awesome. Is it Star Trek? Well, yeah, when Star Trek does a fist fight, they're doing a Star Trek fist fight just right. And
I don't know. We haven't seen anybody do Shatner's butt attack yet.
No, we haven't seen the butt attack or the double fist flying. The
overhand hammer smash.
Yes.
I think we have.
We've seen a lot of Worf's palm hits, though.
No, I'm pretty sure I saw the double-fisted hammer.
Oh my God, it was hilarious.
The palm strikes, that is a legit martial arts.
I know it's a legit martial arts, but I found it very funny that no one ever threw a punch in The Next Generation.
Because actually, the palm strikes, it's worse. No, it's stronger than a punch because
it's destructive.
You're bringing the whole force and power of the bone into play. That's how you kill somebody, is a palm strike to the nose. You drive the cartilage up and to pierce the brain.
Yeah, that's a specific technique. The actual thing with a open palm strike is actually a softer hit than with a full punch. I've done martial arts.
It depends on the angle, but if you're coming, if you're
going for the nose, sure, you're going.
No, I'm not. I'm not talking about the angle where you're striking. I'm talking about there's open palm strikes where you're slapping, and there's open palm strikes where you're essentially punching.
It's an uppercut. It's like you're coming in low and up into the jaw and or nose. So Worf did it all the time. Whenever Worf hit somebody, I'm like, well, that guy's dead.
When you're punching with the heel of your hand with a palm strike, it's because you've got the whole bone impacting. It is more powerful.
You'll have a lot of martial artists argue on that one, but we won't get into that.
Now,
it depends entirely on what the technique is that you're using. And that goes the same for a closed fist strike.
With the next episode of Discovery, they had the previews for it. And Tank, we're going to spoil it a little bit here.
Oh, no.
We're going to spoil it for you. The Emperor from the Mirror Universe is obviously giving them a hand with the fighting of the Klingons since they showed up later than they were supposed to. And there is a theory, I cannot remember who it was. If I knew who it was, who was the theory from, Wolfie? About the augment virus.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even pay any attention to that.
Oh, that the warheads that are shown falling on whatever Klingon, whatever, it's the augment virus that they using
did say they were going to bring it in line by the end.
Yes, they were going to bring it in line with EOS by the end of the show.
I mean, it seems like that's the sort of thing, though, that wouldn't be recommended by Georgiou. She would be recommending actual
obliteration.
WMDs.
But either way, the way it was going, the way the show and Enterprise portrayed it was that it was already an ongoing thing, that the Klingons would have been ridgeless by this point.
I don't know. The thing that's killing me about the last episode of Discovery is all these people like, oh, the Stamets is switched bodies.
I thought he did.
The second that the Stamets on the Charon released the deadly spores proves that they did not switch bodies.
Okay. Yeah.
There is no way PU Stamets would have released that.
I agree with that.
No, he wouldn't have done that. No. But the way they ended it the episode before, it was like, hello. But it's one of those bait and switch kind of things.
PU Stamets has also proven he's not the type to grovel and suck up.
True. I do like the new disintegration effect. It's almost a splatter, but not.
Yeah.
Unlike, say, the old disintegration where for the original series, everybody just turned blue and then faded away. And the Klingon disintegrations and the ones from the movies where it literally ate you away from the inside out. And now it's just kind of a sparky, kind of really hot splatter.
Poof.
Yeah.
The big question I'm wanting answered was the MU Discovery that switched places with them destroyed? So are they even more caught off guard when Discovery returns? Because MU Discovery doesn't have the spore drive, which is the thing that kept saving them in all their attacks on the Klingons.
Oh yeah, the Klingons would obliterated that ship in a heartbeat. Which would have taken the MU Discovery by complete surprise because, for one, a fleet of Klingon ships, that's unheard of.
Well, not only that, they went out of their way to point out that the Klingon raiders they scanned in the debris fields, their maintenance they weren't within design tolerances. They were barely functional. So MU Discovery against, Klingon ships actually functioning at peak efficiency, they'd be screwed.
Oh, yeah. Well, we could beat this horse dead until the next horse runs into the room.
It's already dead. We can ambush the next one.
Yes. We'll ambush the next one.
Speaking of ambushing horses, apparently there's a discussion about Captain Marvel's costume.
I don't know how to take that segue.
I'm just switching to something else.
Yes, we are. We can switch to something else.
Well, I don't know. Was there more to talk about Discovery?
No. Again, we could keep beating that horse all night.
We could go down that hole for hours, and nobody would want to listen to it except us.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to listen to it.
Yeah.
I don't want to listen to you guys.
I don't understand. I saw the whole big uproar about the costume. Now, was it?
I don't think there should be an uproar because those are standard Kree colors.
Looks fine to me.
Looks fine to me. It actually has a very 90s feel to it.
Actually, I took it as like, okay, it's green. It's a special effect. Once they get it into post-production, she's going to go Nova or something, and it's going to flare up, and that's why they need it green.
No, I think it's just that's early on when she first gets the suit, and it's the Kree colors, and then later it'll be the regular colors.
Yeah, I mean,
they're going to have to explain somewhere along the lines the difference between the pink skin Kree and the blue skin Kree. Because so far, all we've ever seen of the Kree in anything have been the blue skins.
No, we saw on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where the one dude appeared human and then turned out to be a blue skin.
It's true.
True. Well, she's not really Kree. She's just
No,
enhanced.
she's not Kree. But we are seeing Jude Law as the Kree Captain Marvel.
He is playing Marvel?
Yeah, I believe that's confirmed.
I wonder if they're going to bring the whole aspect of his death into it. That is interesting casting. That is not even anywhere close to what I would have cast as Marvel.
I don't think he's going to stick around long. I think they're going to hook up or whatever, or he's going to be there, they're going to hook up, and then, a third of the way, halfway through the movie, something's going to happen, and that's because she gets her powers in the comic books when I think it's the Psychotron or something, blasts both of them.
Yes.
And she's behind him and the powers get transferred. So I'm sure what they'll do in the movie is have the blast kill him.
I mean, he died of cancer in the books.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to get into that.
He got better.
And he's one of the few characters that just never came back.
He sort of came back. There was a Skrull that they turned into Captain Marvel, who the process was interrupted, and he legitimately believed he was Captain Marvel. And he ran the prison, the one prison during, I think it was Civil War or something. It was really weird. It didn't last too long.
And I mean, there was the crossover they did recently with Marvel and Carol Danvers. It is Carol Danvers, right?
Yeah.
That's the character, yes.
Now, he's had his son show up, and then, either his daughter or his sister or something. But, yeah, he hasn't truly come back. Now,
was she not Miss Marvel, too?
Yeah, that's what she started out as. Is Miss Marvel.
Now, okay, you want to talk about an objectification
she didn't become Captain Marvel until sometime in the 2000s.
If you really want to talk a costume that was overly objectifying, was the thong that she wore. It was basically a thong. She wore a thong. Her butt cheeks were always hanging out. She was fighting crime with her butt cheeks hanging out. No matter who drew her,
she was essentially naked.
Yeah, so it's like putting her in a uniform, a Kree uniform, or a bulky 90s style Power Ranger looking uniform, which is just fine because the movie's set in the 1990s. It has to have an aesthetic. It fits the aesthetic of that time frame. So the train just keeps blinking on and off. I don't get it. I don't know what the uproar was. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing her in the red and yellow, and the blue, red, and yellow.
Should be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, Wolfie, you've not been keeping up on your puns, so I've got one for you.
Okay.
Don't run with bagpipes. You could put an eye out, or worse yet, get killed.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, Lord. to Shillelagh and beat that dead.
That was some real punishment.
Oh, enough. Now, back Marvel, totally out of the blue. I did not realize Ant-Man and Wasp was coming out this year.
Yeah, I'd forgotten.
It was. I knew we had Black Panther coming up, which is getting some monstrous reviews. Like good monsters. Like people are really, really loving it, saying it's a game changer, that kind of thing. We've got the Avengers Infinity War in May, and then Ant-Man in July. And I was like, wow, Ant-Man's coming out this year? I could have sworn it was next year, but hey, I'm all for it.
I think with Ant-Man, they're and this is gonna sound like I'm making a pun, and I'm not. They're taking the approach that it's smaller stories, not insignificant stories, but smaller stories. And there wasn't this huge, like super early push for the first one. So they're replicating that with the second one.
Well, what kind of throws me is we know that both Wasp and Ant-Man are in Avengers Infinity War. We know, I mean, that's been basically confirmed. Like every Marvel or the MCU or whatever, they're all there. The Marvel movie universe, they're all there. The
Well,
universe.
Ant-Man and Wasp must take place before that, then.
Yeah, because in the trailer they're commenting about Civil War, and it was like,
Well, not only that, the movie is the introduction of Wasp.
mm-hmm.
The trailer has them talking about the suit and everything, and Ant-Man clearly seeing the suit for the first time and everything.
Yeah, so it's just, I think it's odd that they would do their well, I don't know. It's just weird. You would think that they would want to put that first and then follow it with the Avengers.
I think the casting of Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Dyne gave something away for me. I think they're gonna. Oh yeah, but I think they're going to rescue her, or they think they're going to rescue her, and it's going to turn out that she's evil.
Oh no! Don't say
she's been twisted by being trapped, and she's got some kind of army, and she brings it back.
They cast the wrong actress then.
No, she does evil really well.
I know she does really evil well, but if you really want to cast somebody against Michael Douglas, who plays evil really well, you cast Sharon Stone.
No. Oh God, no.
I can't see.
I don't want to see
Pfeiffer
that
be brought
again.
in as evil.
Why? That's what she does best.
She does. She does evil real good.
For Marvel, though.
She does bitchy and evil really,
yeah, but Janet
really well.
Van Dyne was never evil.
But Janet Van Dyne in the comic books was never trapped in a microscopic world for however many years either.
Yeah, but time has no meaning there. She has no idea how long she's been there.
We don't know where she really ended up, though, because they launch a rescue mission to go get her. So obviously she ended up somewhere, and time must have some meaning if they're able to launch a rescue mission to go get her.
True, and if she ages. Time keeps on slipping. Either way, I don't
know. If I'm wrong, I'm not going to be upset about it. I just think that suggests that to me.
Now, on the other side of Marvel, and I am going to echo Chloe Bennett on this one, y'all need to either shit or get off the pot when it comes to your television shows. Either accept them as part of it and use it, or just let them branch off on their own and stop trying to make it seem like it all happens in the same place. Because we got Cloak and Dagger, we got Runaways, we got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we got Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, The Defenders, the Immortal Iron Fist, who, if you don't know who that is, just watch the first season. He lets you know every 10 minutes.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. He's the Immortal Iron Fist. If you're not sure what that is, just wait. He'll explain it. Then and Daredevil. Do we have? Oh, and the New Warriors, and that's a horror
and New
film.
Mutants.
Yeah, but that's a Fox one.
That's Fox. So
So I mean, it's like you got all these television shows. Cloak and Dagger Cloak and Dagger is a really aspect for. I mean, it makes I think it would definitely make a better TV show than a film. Just knowing
When
the
is that
character
coming
what
out?
I do. Next season.
Next season of what?
Not this year sometime.
That is going to be a really interesting one, because if you go back and read those early Cloak and Dagger comics, they are really dark.
Yes, and which it makes for an episodic show better than a 2-hour film.
I mean, they're really dark. Like, even when they end up working with the X-Men and everything, oh my god, it's dark even for 80s dark.
And when you think about how dark they've made, like Daredevil and Jessica Jones, so I mean, Cloak and Dagger is probably going to run that gambit.
Cloak and Dagger is just the origin. It just inherently makes it so dark. The whole drug aspect and everything.
Yes. Well, then
wasn't Dagger raped? If I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's when the powers manifest or something.
Yeah, it's a dark story to begin with.
Yes.
Cloak absorbs the guy that's attacking her or something.
Yeah,
no, Cloak's the guy. Dagger's a woman.
Yeah,
that's
Dagger,
what I just said.
He said
Cloak absorbs the guy that's attacking her.
Oh.
Yeah, it's dark. I mean, it's a dark. It's an origin story that's dark, but when it comes to their TV shows, and I realize that there's a pissing match between whatever entities involved are, but it's just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did a really good job of kind of kicking it to the wayside this season and doing their own thing, even and letting the normal timeline go the way it's supposed to, as well as with theirs.
Now, supposedly in this next episode, we're going to see who the bad guy Seer is, and it is supposedly a big deal and surprise.
It's Ward, dude.
I hope not.
It is so Ward.
If it's Ward, I'm liable to turn it off.
Dude, it's gonna.
They can only bring him back so many ways.
It's so.
But he's a good actor. He is such a good actor, though.
It really is. So Ward.
I love.
I don't see how it could be Ward. I think it's what's her name with the flower dress.
Oh, Raina.
She's long gone.
But they have a habit of bringing people back to life.
Can bring people back from the dead. That's what we saw in the last episode.
You're just holding out hope it's going to be a certain guy, and it's not happening, guys. Let it go.
It's Ward.
Sure, that would be the dumbest way to bring.
What was his character's name when he became the alien? I can never remember it.
But he didn't show any signs of being able to predict the future like that.
And does that matter? He has been in every season, dude.
No, I can't. If they bring him back again, I think I might be done. As much as I'm loving this season,
a lot of people think it's Dove Cameron, the Disney Channel chick.
No, I don't think so, because supposedly her involvement is in the modern day as she's the daughter of that female general that imprisoned Fitz, and she's like a huge worshiper of Quake.
Oh, okay.
I read an article on that came out the other day.
Okay, if it's not Ward, I'll eat my words with a bit of crow as well, so it's all good, but it's going to be Ward.
See, my thing is it's interesting that we're dealing with the Kree and Captain Marvel is coming up soon. This could still tie in.
It could still tie in.
Apparently, though, they've thoroughly separated them from the MCU. I'm not sure how yet, but
I mean, it's like they made a big point of not including the Avengers Tower in any of the Netflix series, even though you should be able to see it front and center 90% of the time in the skyline.
From any direction, practically.
From where they are in Hell's Kitchen, you should be able to see that tower fairly easily. So even though in the advertising, it's always there. For the Defenders, it was dead center in the middle of the poster. But I don't know. So, again, I would love to see it all tied together. I would love to be completely surprised when I go to see Avengers Infinity War and they're all there. where it's like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Daredevil and Luke Cage, and they're just all there.
No, by all accounts, they're not.
Yes, by all accounts. But you know what? I mean, we've been lied to before, Don.
Right? Not gone, it's not gone. It's fucking gone.
You know how we'll know? We will know when Vanity Fair releases their issue come sometime late April on with their big photo layout they did with everybody. They did the entire MCU cast photo that supposedly had 75 actors and actresses in this photograph. And we'll find out then. Because if they're in that photo, they're there.
Well, it's just like the whole thing with Tom Holland. The writers purposely did not let him read the script for fear that he would tell people.
Because they know that he can't keep his mouth shut.
He can't.
It's like Carrie Fisher. If you want to make sure if something gets out, you tell Fisher thing.
It was so weird. I saw a clip of him in something the other day, and he was speaking in his real accent. I had completely forgotten he's not American.
Yeah.
It was actually jarring.
That final scene in Homecoming, though, was hilarious.
Well, it's like Christian Bale. I mean, when he's speaking normally, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, forgot.
No, but I've always been somewhat aware with Bale.
It was pretty jarring to me.
Swear to me!
Mostly because I never heard him with his normal accent, so...
He does a really good American accent.
Yeah, I mean, even though I knew he wasn't American, I just never heard it before.
What was it? Between Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo. They just can't keep their mouth shut. So, again, we'll find out when that big photo comes out and we get to see everybody and stuff. I mean, it would be a pleasant surprise that all of a sudden there's this giant battle in New York City and everybody's there.
Well, they should be.
Yes, they should be. If they're not there, then they can no longer. They just have, like I said, it's either you do it or you get off the pot.
As a side note, I've been watching Punisher due to my convalescence.
I've only seen the first 2 episodes.
I actually have been really enjoying it. I'm not spoiling anything here. It's been out long enough for one. But they explore the whole thing with ETS that soldiers, Marines, service members have, and wannabes, while at the same time telling the story of the Punisher that ties with how he and, I guess, his computer buddy meet up. So it's been really well put together.
Oh, Netflix's show, aside from the writing on Iron Fist, they've been pretty tight. Even Daredevil season 2, which was not as good as the first season.
What I've seen of Iron Fist just pressed me so much I couldn't even bring myself to watch all of it.
It's just,
That's why I haven't watched any of Punisher, because Iron Fist and Punisher are 2 of probably my 4 favorite characters, and they've already ruined one of them for me.
I know when it first came out that I was like, I was a proponent for it. I was like, it's not that bad. When you go back and you rewatch, he really does constantly. I mean, it's like a broken record with the guy. It's like, I'm the immortal Iron Fist, and if I heard the word Kung Lung one more time, I was going to punch my TV.
And he's not like that in the comics.
No, he's not.
Especially early on, he was always one for letting his actions speak. He didn't want attention like that.
And then later in the book, he was kind of like Deadpool light. He was more.
Danny Rand's always been a weird one because it took him so long to connect with more normal emotion, and then there was that whole weird period where like he disappeared for like 5 years and everybody else aged and he didn't.
That's because he went to Kung Lung.
Oh, sorry. I know that, but it makes for some really weird stuff because he comes back and he and Misty Knight, like, he wants to continue their relationship, but they're just hooking up, and she's like thrown off by the whole fact that he hasn't aged thing, and like the modern Iron Fist stuff from a few years ago, especially when like they have the tournament and it turns out there's other secret cities, is awesome.
Well,
yeah, it's hard for him to find out Kung Lung isn't the only one.
Well, Wolfie, as a prior service member yourself, I think you'd enjoy Punisher.
Okay, I'm glad. I liked the casting, and I love the character. Did they do a better job of updating him than the movie?
Yes. Yeah. Even though I think Thomas Jane fit the character better.
I thought Thomas Jane fit the character fine, and I thought that the basic premise was fine, but just overall the movie was so...
It was lackluster.
The way I see it so far, because I think I'm up to episode 9, Punisher is trying to basically regain his humanity while at the same time still dealing with the rage issue. And they also have the side plot story where there's... I don't know if he actually is a prior service guy, but he certainly sells it if he isn't. Of guys who had been overseas and how they're not integrating back into the real world.
I always thought
that story's been really good too.
I always thought it was interesting that Punisher was essentially the story of a man with PTSD without ever discussing PTSD.
It pretty much is.
He's somebody that after what he witnessed in Vietnam, and then actually now I think it's the Gulf, and then witnessing the death of his parents or his family. I mean, locked away pretty much everything but his anger.
Yes. Again, I've seen the first 2 episodes that I saw. I mean, it's Bernenthal, right? John Bernenthal.
Yeah.
Does a great job in the role. He really does. Now, it's like when you're going for the look of the character in the comics compared to what they've put on screen, I always thought Thomas Jane looked more like the character than Bernenthal does, but Bernenthal does such a good job, and he's such a good actor, that he owns the role enough that you're like, okay, I get it. He really is. He's in, I mean, it was like, he was okay in The Walking Dead, but this, yeah, he's good. And I only saw like bits and pieces of him in The Walking Dead stuff on Facebook. Again, I've never watched a full episode of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, no interest in that.
None. I don't like zombies. I think they're boring.
I think I watched 2 episodes when they first reached the prison and were setting up there, and that's about it.
I don't know.
20
but
20 horrifying
really
things celebrities have hiding in their past. Robert Downey Jr. was given his first film role by his father at age 5. He was given his first marijuana also by his father at age 6.
My first beer was my grandpa when I was 3.
When you talk about someone who should not currently be a functional member of society, Robert Downey Jr. is pretty near to the top of the list.
Not only is he not only a functioning part of society, but to completely turn around and be as philanthropic.
Philanthropic.
Yeah, thank you very much. Philanthropic as he is.
Where he came back from is crazy.
Yes.
I mean, he's not one of these celebrities that did a 30-day stint in jail. It was something like 6 months to a year, wasn't it?
It's not just the jail time. The dude's life was like a roller coaster of, dear Lord, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, even the Simpsons made fun of it.
Yeah, he was swirling the toilet drain there.
Oh yeah, and he was grabbing for porcelain most of the time. There was no lip in sight.
Honestly, I think if you switched him during his breakdown and Charlie Sheen during his breakdown,
winning,
there wouldn't have been a difference. It's just that Charlie Sheen's breakdown was so much more public because of social media and the internet.
True.
I think many of the behaviors would have been identical.
I don't know if Downey Jr. would have taken to social media, because it wasn't just that it was a social media thing that went on with Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen himself was propagating it.
That's true.
He was out there doing it. He was out there on Twitter and Facebook and all the other places, and he was making it worse than it should have been. And he was out there doing interviews and all this kind of crap. It was like it was bad. I don't know if Downey Jr. would have done that.
No, he doesn't strike you as the type, even when, that time period of being a wild and crazy guy.
I don't know. He was pretty self-centered back then.
Oh, sure, but I don't think, again, I don't think he would have, but then again, we don't know because we can't go back in time and apply that. Which is probably just as well.
Staying on the Marvel route and just kind of shooting off to the side, just like bit. We're taking the exit ramp right here, real quick, and we're going to touch on the DC. See, the exit ramp said DC, so I'm going to go there.
Oh God, it's gravel!
Yeah. Turn off the paved road. Lawrence Fishburne probably will not be able to play Perry White anymore.
Oh.
Because he's in Ant-Man.
I don't know. Hard to say with their contracts. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, we don't even know when another Superman movie is expected yet, do we?
Nope, they're still trying to figure it all out on their end.
So he
Well,
might not be under contract right now.
They're still fighting over the mustache.
Well, look at J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
he wasn't really working for Marvel.
I mean, I know that's true. That was Sony.
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest,
there have been plenty of people that have crossed over, but it's usually not while this series of movies they've been in is active. So we'll see what happens.
With Marvel, we're running out of actors.
Yes, for real.
They have to recycle.
It's like who do we have left?
They require additional Chris's.
Yes, we need more Chris's.
Pylons?
God, Chris O'Donnell.
We got Chris Rock.
Chris O'Donnell. From Robin to Wonder Man.
No,
I don't know, because they're leaning toward, because they're trying, I know there's somewhat of a push from certain creatives within the Marvel department for Nathan Fillion as Wonder Man.
Well, he was already supposed to be he was already supposed to be Wonder Man.
Yes.
But he was cut from the film.
We need a Moon Knight movie.
Yes, we do. I thought they were working on a show, I thought.
I don't think Moon Knight would work as a movie.
Why? If Batman could work, why can Moon Knight not work?
No, not as a movie. As a show, though, it would.
Moon Knight, I think, would have worked within the Netflix stuff, but Moon Knight is a weird one because it depends on where in the Moon Knight time period do you come in. Do you come in when he has powers that wax and wane with the moon? Do you come in when he has 3 personalities that take over? Do you come in the more recent multiple personality mode when he's got a Superman personality, a Wolverine personality, and all this stuff? There's a lot of crazy aspects to Moon Knight. I mean, when I call him crazy Batman, he really is.
And my answer to that is yes.
I love Moon Knight. Like, he's not in my top 4 characters anymore, but he's probably number 5, and he's probably my favorite obscure character. The sad thing about Moon Knight is, even when his comic books have been great, he hasn't been able to have an extended run.
I just found it funny that somebody that goes around at night wears a bright white costume.
Well, I know...
Hey, back off your mic. You're hurting my ears, man.
Sorry. I know at least in one...
I'm just so excited.
I know at least in one iteration, it was... Because his origin is he rescues this archaeologist and his daughter from this other mercenary in the tomb of... an Egyptian tomb, and there's a priest of Kanashu robe hanging there, and that's what he grabs as his first costume, and then he bases his later costumes off of that.
Ah, so he's a Dr. Fate ripoff.
No, it's some
I'm kidding.
some Egyptian god. Like I said, his origin stuff is so convoluted because at one point, when he was called the Fist of Kanashu, he was supposedly being legitimately contacted by the disembodied priests of Kanashu, the Egyptian god of justice, and his strength would increase with the phases of the moon. But then later versions of retcon that to him just being completely crazy and imagining that his strength, being so crazy that he thinks his strength increases, so it increases. It's really weird.
So he's psychokinetic.
No, it's
Just psycho.
it's like
Just
the whole
psycho.
thing of like a mother, like those mothers that have lifted buses off of their kids.
Ah, so he's Bruce Banner.
Something like that. Like he's so crazy, he thinks he's stronger, so his adrenal glands pump more. Or something. I don't know entirely. It's really. Oh, and then there's one of the retcons had him be bit because he first appears in Werewolf by Night. So one of the retcons is he was bit by the werewolf, but doesn't transform. But as the phases of the moon increase, his strength increases because of the bite.
Holy crap! Yeah, that's really hard to interpret for the screen if you're all over the place that way.
They've reset the character a number of times and removed and added back in various aspects.
I know how to fix all that. You just make his origins happen that he was in Kung Lung too. Sorry. I'm sorry.
God damn it! No, don't do that.
Just the worst.
He'll come back saying he just came back from Kunlun.
I just came back to Kung Lung. I have to get back to Kung Lung.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that'll say I'm not really doing the character justice in terms of trying to describe it, but it is very convoluted, and I get a lot of it
realize
mixed up in my head.
I realize he's a psychopath, which I found it funny that he is a character in the Lego Marvel game that you can play Moon Knight. And then, of all places, I did not expect him to pop up. He is an NPC in Disney Infinity.
Oh, that's weird.
He's actually one of the power discs.
Especially because he's part of the reason that I think he would work with the Netflix stuff is he's like Daredevil and like Punisher, of course, is way worse than Daredevil or him, but he's not afraid. He's not afraid to kill.
No. He's the anti-Batman.
Now, he will, when he's working with Punisher, he'll stop Punisher from just randomly killing, but he's not afraid to kill.
But since we're here, and I was just thinking about this because I mentioned Dr. Fate, and with comic book movies not seeming to slow down, and everybody thought it was going to slow down, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. I mean, we got we got Shazam, which Marvel beat them to the punch using the Marvel, so I mean they're going to have to do it Shazam. So we got Shazam coming out.
Well, I think they already worked out years ago because the comics are Shazam now. They don't do Captain Marvel.
They also changed the name of the character because he took over for the Wizard and he became Shazam instead of Captain Marvel. Because it used to be the covers had to say Shazam, but they could call the character Captain Marvel inside the books. Yes. But that was confusing people. So then they killed off the Wizard, had him become the Wizard, and he was called Shazam.
That's very Wizard, Annie.
Of course, then you had the new 52, which just skipped all that.
Yes. Now, again, it's how is DC going to... I mean, they're saying that it is, but it isn't tied into their whole cinematic universe, which I would think is weird, since there's rumors that Henry Cavill is going to be reprise his role as Superman in the Shazam movie. I don't know how they're going to play it, but when you have two characters with such similar power aspects, even though Shazam is magically based and Superman is an alien, so okay, we got that aspect, but it's like, okay, I'm looking forward to the movie.
Well, there's always been a thing of Superman is technically stronger, like pound for pound, than Shazam, but Shazam can beat Superman because his powers are magic based,
and he's got a weakness to magic.
Yeah, well, now with the whole aspect of building these big universes and Marvel trying to turn what they've made into something different now, because I guess they're going to start swapping characters. People's contracts are done, so they're going to bring more new life into their ongoing series of movies. So there's been talk. I mean, we got Captain Marvel coming in, and talk of other characters being brought to the screen. Then there's the aspect of the Fox buyout.
How many more characters are there, though? I mean, how deep or down that well are they going to go?
Well, if the Fox merger does go through, they do get the Fantastic Four, they do get the X-Men, they get these characters that they can then start to play with. If they do get the Fantastic Four, Marvel, I do believe Marvel would be able to pull that off on screen as long as they got John Krasinski to play Mr. Fantastic.
He was almost Captain America.
Yes, I know, but he would be a really good Reed Richards.
I don't see it.
I think he'd be I think he has he has the chops that he could play a young Reed Richards.
But Reed Richards isn't funny.
No,
Reed
but
Richards
he's
is never
not.
funny.
He's not funny, but he could pull it off.
In fact, the Reed Richards character is like so dark. Like people don't really realize that.
Yeah, but
he's in the comic books. He's such an asshole, especially early on.
True, but I do believe Krasinski could play the character. But then there's characters that shouldn't be brought to the big screen.
You know, I correct me if I'm wrong, because I may be completely batshit crazy. What about the guy from the one who plays Dennis on Sunny in Philadelphia?
Oh yeah, I could see him as Reed Richards.
Yep.
Yeah. And
if
they do not get Rainn Wilson to play Doc Ock, I'm going to be very unhappy.
Who would you cast as the Thing?
To be honest,
The Rock.
The Rock.
No, A-Rock.
A-Rock.
Well, that'd be funny if you did cast The Rock as, well...
I think they'd have to go find somebody that's unknown to play the Thing.
Well, the guy they had in previous films was...
I thought Chiklis was actually one of the few bright spots of the film.
He really was.
Those two Fantastic Four movies. He fit, the voice worked and everything. I just... The Fantastic Four... The problem is that the first first two movies they leaned too hard into the corniness of the characters and overlooked in a lot of ways some of the darker stuff. And then the more recent one, the more recent one leaned like hard into the dark stuff.
You gotta have a healthy blend of both, though, with Fantastic Four, because if you look at a lot of the storylines, you know, some were like incredibly weird and funny, and some were incredibly dark. You know, so you gotta, with Fantastic Four, you do have to have a blend of both of the dark and the serious, with, you know, mixing in some of the comedy. And Marvel tends to do that very well. Very well.
The other thing about Fantastic Four is, more so than any other character, you have to get Doom right.
And they've already used Mads Mikkelsen.
And they've never really gotten Victor Von Doom right.
Who played Victor Von Doom in the quote reboot?
He was a hacker. It was really weird.
It was, don't even go there. That's how bad it was. You can't even remember who played Dr. Doom. He wasn't even Dr. Doom. He was just Doom.
The guy from Nip Tuck that played Doom in the first two movies wasn't bad, but what they did with the character was weird.
You know who could probably... I mean, I keep going to movies, and it's like I really think that Mads Mikkelsen or Michelson would have been a really good Dr. Doom, but they already used him in Doctor Strange. In a really lackluster character. There was just like... His character had no gravitas, nothing. It was like... Really? Why do I care? I mean, they're gonna beat you easy. He was not an imposing bad guy.
No, he wasn't. He had depth.
The thing about Doom, though, and why you can't necessarily cast Mikkelsen is the Fantastic Four are fairly young when they start out, and Doom is a contemporary of Reed Richards.
True.
And that's a major part of the character.
But also Doom, when he was introduced, was already Doom. He was in the costume. You never saw his face. That was until much later when he was unmasked.
Oh yeah, I think they need to ignore. They don't need to have Doom be part of the origin. They just need to have him show up as Doom, and you can without showing him, you can fill in the whole thing of, blah, blah, blah.
If that's going to be the case,
the whole inferiority complex towards Reed.
Yeah, you could put anybody in the costume and have James Earl Jones voice him. I'm kidding. But,
you know what? Just remove Doom and put in Vader.
If you're going to talk Star Wars actors that could probably pull off Doom correctly, if I'm just joked around like that, both Ben Mendelsohn and or Guy Henry could pull off that character. Guy Henry was able to pull off Tarkin and do it in a way that everybody thought it was not really him acting. It was him acting. It was his voice. It was everything him. He played that evil character so well. And then Mendelsohn is so over the top in some of the stuff he does. He's a good actor. He can play both sides of it. He can do the funny and he can. I mean, he basically played the inferiority complex already in Rogue One that he could pull Doom off. But again, they're both older actors.
What about Christoph Waltz?
Again, older actor, but probably.
But if you're not going to show,
he's got the accent and everything. Yeah.
You also got to keep in mind it's got to be somebody who can play the head of state role, which Firefly is making mention here.
Which is why I think Mendelsohn can pull it off.
Oh God, I'm looking at an article on Screen Rant, and somebody wants Ian or Ion Griffon, Mr. Fantastic, to play
to come back
as Doom.
You know what? I bet you could do it.
And they also are recommending Rami Malek, the guy from Mr. Robot.
We know this is going to happen sometime in the future. Marvel will get these characters back. It's going to happen, but then there's characters. It's like, well, you can't. It's like Squirrel Girl. We're actually going to see Squirrel Girl on screen, which is scary. But I brought up Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate never translates to the big screen.
The only thing I'm worried about with them bringing in Squirrel Girl is the show that they're bringing her on to is supposed to, in the comics, is a little more. Squirrel Girl is not a serious character in the comics.
No.
And what is it? It's new. Is it New Warriors she's going to be on?
Yes.
That's, while at times the team is somewhat of a joke, especially when Night Thrasher was running things, they're actually really serious. And I just don't know how she's going to fit in with that.
Somewhere along the lines, just looking at some of the actors that have that have come over from other countries and stuff that would be really good in certain roles. It's like, I'm sitting here looking at the cast of Rogue One right now, because I pulled him up on Google as we were talking. I was like, Donnie Yen needs to be in there somewhere, just because he's Donnie Yen.
Who played Cassian Andor?
Diego Luna. Again.
I could see him as Doom.
Ooh. If you played a younger Reed, yeah. A Reed in his 30s, yeah.
Oh, to segue into something completely different.
Go ahead.
Well, we need to be starting to segue towards last call.
Yeah,
very soon.
So before Roland left, he dropped off a link for us. And you just have to shake your head. Title reads, PETA wants the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to go vegan.
What?
Yes.
PETA wants everybody to go vegan, so I don't even...
Well, here's what their statement was. In a letter sent today to the cable network Nickelodeon, they would love to see the heroes go dairy-free, because modern kids are embracing vegan food, so why shouldn't modern Ninja Turtles?
Kids also embrace eating boogers.
Because turtles eat meat!
Okay, but let him finish.
Vegan, not all of them do, by the way. Anyway, vegan pizza is popular, and it's healthier and far kinder to animals than old-fashioned dairy cheese pizza. PETA thinks that that's something the heroes in a half-shell would support.
No, they wouldn't.
But odds are that the turtles are your standard Eastern box turtle.
No.
And what are they then?
They are green sliders.
What the heck is that?
They are a water-based turtle. Their original thing in the comics and in the other film versions, they are the most common turtle found in pet stores, which is the green-eared or the green or red-eared slider. It is a water turtle that is a carnivore. Yes, it does.
I was just going to point out that Eastern box turtle, like, they have a big problem in Maryland where they like to catch birds in nets to tag them for migration purposes, and they've learned that they have to basically keep somebody monitoring the nets at all times, because otherwise, if they wait till the mornings, they will find the box turtles crawling all over the nets, eating the birds.
It's funny because box turtles will also eat fruit.
Yeah, and
well, I think a lot of turtles lean towards being omnivores, but when given the opportunity at easy meat, they will take it.
Yeah, the ones that were at the I guess petting zoo, I can't think of what it was. The one with April the giraffe that we visited last year.
Galapagos turtles?
They were pretty good sized turtles, but I don't think they were Galapagos turtles.
Aren't Galapagos tortoises?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember what sign said for them, honestly, so they may have been tortoises. But all we were given was leafy lettuce.
Yeah, and technically a box turtle is still a tortoise.
Yeah, let's see. Tortoises are almost exclusively herbivores.
And land animals.
Most aquatic turtles are carnivores.
Yes. And the Ninja Turtles were always portrayed as being the water turtle. They are true turtles.
But the sad thing is technically even the aquatic turtles aren't really carnivores. While they require a diet that contains anywhere from 65 to 90% meat, the other 10 to 35% is still vegetable based.
Peter can go jump off a cliff.
Semi-aquatic turtles are omnivores, usually with a diet best met with 50% meat and 50% vegetables.
Which sounds like a pretty solid diet all around, honestly.
Yeah, I will say there's a lot of lizards that will eat bugs and hunt bugs if you put them in their terrarium, but they live longer and tend to be calmer with fruit and vegetables.
Well, speaking of birds...
I know that's common with iguanas.
It makes sense to me. But speaking of birds... there was a really rare event in Utah where apparently 200 starlings fell from the sky. So apparently they were just swarming around, or they call them murmuring, because starlings, they do that. And people were thinking, oh, the flock was poisoned or hit by lightning. It's like, no, from as far as we could tell, it was just one of those freak things where the birds were just flying along, crashed into the side of a large vehicle, and that's it. Because they follow the lead bird.
I really hope someone got video of that.
Right. If that lead bird decides to take a dive, though, everybody's just going to go with him.
But just the sound effect alone of this entire flock of birds flying into the side of wait.
Could you imagine, though, if you're getting this World War II vibe out of it. It's like, there's the target.
Again, it sounds horrible, but they were just starlings.
Now, I have heard of things like fireworks startling birds and causing them to go into dives where they simply run into things and die on impact.
I have been personally witness to a bunch of, well, it wasn't, I would say, a giant flock, but a large flock of birds flying into a plate glass window.
And I also know you've got low and high pressure fronts, and I'm wondering if birds are flying along high enough where they run into, like, say, suddenly a high pressure front, if it could change
that would make them go up.
Or a low pressure front.
Low pressure point would push them down.
Change their aerodynamics enough where they fall. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That one is a theory.
Birds suffer turbulence?
I don't know.
That's really weird. I never thought about that.
Someone's studying it.
I would assume if they're gliding on updrafts and everything that they have to some extent.
Well, I don't know. Are starlings gliders?
Maybe if they're... It could be that they're so small that turbulence doesn't affect them. Like, it could be the reason that planes are affected by turbulence is because they're... Although, I don't know, because it can even affect Cessnas and everything. But, like, the big planes, I would think it was because they end up in, like, two different airstreams at once.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hot air rises, cold air falls, turbulence. Yes, I just quoted Hunt for Ogre. But just curious whether or not that would work. Now, again, when I said it's just starlings, if this was a flock of condors or bald eagles or something, I'd be a little more upset. But it's starlings. They're basically rats with wings. They make pigeons look good.
Or as Firefly put it, avian lemmings.
Yes. But I mean, it's got to be. I've got to go look see if somebody caught video of it. That would be just hilarious. But we are running into almost the 2-hour mark on our show, and I'm trying to think of anything else that could be that last call. And I'm sorry, the picture of birds just running into the side of a car. I mean, the plate glass thing was kind of sad because it was. I don't remember what kind of birds they were. They were smaller. They weren't starlings. This was down in Florida. It was a large glass window. Large. I'm talking large. Big side of a building, plate glass. And at least 20 to 25 birds all ran into it almost simultaneously. And most of them died upon impact. There was a whole lot of just crushed birds. There were a few that survived that were all kind of just flopping around outside the window, but
yeah, at best they can stun themselves pretty soon.
Oh no, there was dead. There was a lot of dead.
At worst, and this is up to with pet birds. If you're not paying, close attention, they can literally ram themselves into a window and kill themselves because they don't know any better.
Yeah, I mean they're flying face first. I mean head first into something. You're looking at broken necks, shattered craniums. It's just a bad situation, and birds' bones are so brittle as it is.
There's not much to them.
No, they're hollow for a reason. And I want an emu. I'm just going to say that. I want an emu. I want to get an emu egg, I want to hatch it, and I want a baby emu running around my house.
Why?
Because every time I see videos of these people who have emus, and they got the baby ones running around the house, they're hilarious.
Just watch out for ostriches, because ostriches are really dumb.
Emus aren't that smart either, I would guess, so... But yeah, back to this all started because of PETA, and you know what? When so much is out about how damaging they are, the damage they've done to animals, and it has been videotaped and documented. So yeah, you got no right to be telling people to do anything.
Right.
I mean, it's been caught. I mean, you guys have been caught on video doing horrific things to animals because you were saving them from the life they had. Yeah.
And here in North Carolina, there was a big lawsuit because they were going around picking up animals saying they were going to go put them up for adoption, and then they literally drove into an alleyway and improperly euthanized them all.
Exactly. And it's not an uncommon thing with PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
Nothing ethical about that.
PETA kills, I think it's the 98% of the animals they take in.
Yes. See, I belong to a different PETA, which I think all of us do.
People for the eating of tasty animals?
Yeah, exactly. If we weren't supposed to be eating animals, they wouldn't be made of meat.
So I'm personally a member of the People for the Ethical Tasting of Animals.
What do you go around licking frogs?
I was kind of thinking the same thing. You just go around and
I've tried that. It doesn't work.
No. You have to properly prepare them.
Well played.
You know what? I'll be impressed when PETA goes and takes their vegan messages to the savannas of Africa and teaches the lions to eat vegan.
No, don't even, because there are vegans that put their cats and dogs on vegetarian or vegan diet.
No, to be fair, in the case of dogs, there is a vegetable-based diet that you can give them.
To a point.
You gotta research it first. You just go ahead and do it.
From what I've read, though, most dogs don't respond well to it. Even dogs that have been on it for years and years, if given the opportunity to eat meat, will immediately go for the meat.
Yeah, and like I said,
they tend not to have as much energy. They tend not to live as long, and all of that.
Kind of like vegans.
Well, that's not true, because Adam and Comfort are both vegans, and those people don't ever stop.
Are they vegans or vegetarians?
Okay, vegetarians.
Okay. In the 70s, was Shatner a vegetarian or a vegan?
I don't know.
Because he went hardcore into one of them, even appearing on the covers of Vegetarian Magazine or something.
Well, this. I don't want people thinking that we're all anti-vegetable and stuff like that.
I'm not anti-vegan as long as you're not preachy about it.
Yeah, when you come at me saying I'm a murderer, that's where we start drawing the lines. It's
I know a few vegans that I didn't know for years they were vegan. They didn't make a big deal out of it. Just like I know a number of atheists that don't say a word about it. They're not necessarily anti-religion for everyone. They just don't believe in it themselves.
Would also like to point out that science has proven that plants know when you're eating them.
Yes, they do feel pain.
Well, wait a minute. By the time they get to me, I'm pretty sure that the pain problem is gone.
They know when they're being killed.
I am vegan by proxy because the animals I eat vegan diets. Therefore, it's by proxy.
Probably not, actually.
Are you sure about that? Because a lot of chicken companies have been caught feeding their chickens.
My wife and I will only buy chicken from a certain store here in Ohio. That is, their animals are ranged. They're not caged, and they are fed a specific corn and vegetable diet. We know this for a fact. It has been researched.
In the case of cattle, usually your feed is a mixture of various plant materials.
Yes, it's still a vegan diet, though.
Well, the point is they're not ranged. They're not free roaming cattle.
Either way, I mean, the aspect, I was joking around with that one. And it's like, again, not anti-vegan. It's the anti-cheat side of it, where you beat people over the head and you throw blood on them and call them names and stuff. That kind of aspect.
One of the aspects of veganism I don't understand is they won't even eat honey.
Really?
I don't understand that one.
Because it is an animal byproduct. Harvesting honey does not harm the bees.
Nope. It's stealing.
They just have to go make more. I was like, oh crap.
It's just stealing.
Yeah, it is. It's stealing. As far as animal byproducts go, it is the least harmless, and in fact is beneficial for the bee population because honey harvesters, these bee farms, are great for the bee population.
Mm-hmm. And keeps the pollination going on.
Unless you're some hooligans who knocked over several beehives a few weeks ago and killed
wasn't that several months ago?
I don't know if it was several months ago. I recall it being like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was fairly recent.
I don't know, but the fact that literally no animal byproducts includes honey, that is just a weird one to me.
How much you want to bet that the hooligans who did it were easily caught?
I knew a guy I used to work with him who he didn't even no leather, nothing. His shoes were all canvas. Everything was cotton and or plant based.
I'm not going to criticize someone if they choose that lifestyle, but please don't get all preachy with me.
I feel that way about with anything that way, except for CrossFitters. You know what? Screw CrossFitters.
Just like if you don't want to watch TV because you don't agree with TV, that's fine. You can even tell me that you don't watch TV, but don't look down on me for watching TV.
Hey, Wolfie.
Yes.
What do you want to drink? Because it's last call.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you very much.
Whiskey straight.
All right. Just stand real still, because it's kind of a small bottle. It's going to be hard to hit you with.
I got a question. Is there clear whiskey?
Let's ask Tade.
Okay.
No, he's not available right now.
I want apple juice.
I want it.
You want to watch an ale?
I'll take an apple
Would
teeny.
you like it? Would you like that in a sippy cup?
I want an apple teeny.
I have. Well, it could have not been a last call.
Tade?
Or it could have been a last call, either way, because we don't really have much to really go on it, because we kind of railed on this topic last year. But who here remembers the original EA Battlefront that came out a couple years ago?
Mm-hmm.
I have been playing it on the Xbox.
Sold about 14 million copies.
Yes.
Relatively successful, despite the fact that it was an game.
It's fun to shoot things.
I'm sorry to say, because it's really bad news, and I know it's going to hurt all of us because we really wanted it to succeed, but Battlefront 2 only sold about 7 million copies.
Yet EA still cleared in the black.
Oh yeah,
probably because microtransactions really don't affect their bottom line, and that entire thing about video games being more expensive to make and necessary to keep funding them is complete bullshit.
Supposedly, they feel they haven't made enough money off of the game and are considering bringing back in-game transactions.
Well, either way, I, as a Star Wars fan, the original Battlefront is a perfect stress relief when you've had a bad day and you just want to go shoot something in the face.
At one point, weren't there more people playing the original Battlefront 2 on the new reconstituted servers than there were playing the new Battlefront 2?
You mean the original Battlefront? Yes.
No. The original Battlefront
yes.
2. I'm talking about, the Xbox game.
Yes.
PC
the old one.
Is
the old one.
It is back with active multiplayer servers.
I know. I got to get on there.
I believe at one point there was more people playing that than the new one.
I would like to point out that after this news came out today, their stock tanked, went up a little bit, and is now tanking again.
That's what I do.
Okay,
I won't say tanking because it's not a dramatic loss. It's just a loss in a few points, but
it's a noticeable drop.
EA really should probably stop making Star Wars games. Doesn't
Well,
work well for them.
They won't.
Well, I mean, they're basically taking away all of the dev team people working on Tor, which worries me. If it dies, then that would suck because I haven't finished that yet. But anyway, my last call. In the case of the hives that got knocked over, you think it was pretty easy to find them by all of the bee stings in them?
I would imagine so. You start knocking over one hive. I know this from personal experience because I do help occasionally take care of bees. If you piss off one hive and it is in close proximity to another hive,
because they usually are.
Yeah, and by close proximity, I mean if you piss off one hive and there's another hive several hundred yards away, they will be angry at you.
It is amazing how pheromones work, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If you step on a yellow jacket, which I found this out the hard way, and there happens to be a yellow jacket or 2 or 10 anywhere within 100-yard radius around you, they will find you because you smell like the one you just crushed, and they will sting you, and they will keep chasing you, stinging you.
Because they're yellow jackets, they don't lose their sting.
No, they don't. Honeybees, on the other hand, that's messed up in a whole lot of ways. Not only knock hives over, but when a honeybee attacks and it feels threatened, and that's it for that honeybee. It dies. You done killed honeybees for being stupid, and I hope you got stung lots and didn't have an EpiPen.
Well, even in the case of if they're wearing thick, winter clothing or whatever, their faces are probably still exposed. I can't imagine they put a lot of thought in this.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something funny.
Well, like I keep telling my kids, just because an insect is ugly or it stings or it bites doesn't make it bad. My daughter has this thing about spiders all of a sudden because she saw a thing about brown recluse on TV, and we did find one. We actually had one in the garage, and I had to kill it. But any spider she sees,
you should.
She's like, "It's a brown spider." I was like, "It's not a brown spider, baby. That's just any little jumpy spider. It's fine. It's no big deal." And spiders are actually beneficial. They eat bugs. They keep things in cycles. The only bugs, like flies, you just squat flies. You just kill them. I don't care about that because they spread disease. But spiders and wasps and honeybees and all that, they do more good than bad. Just don't bother them. They won't bother you. You're all good.
Brown recluses, they'll kill them.
Yeah, brown recluse, you kill them because, you don't want to get bit by a brown recluse.
Yep, my mother lost a leg to one.
Yeah, okay, my last call is going to be a margarita heavy on the salt.
Now, that's my job because I've taken over for Tade.
What? Making the heavy salt margarita? Okay, no, my salt comes from a personal aspect of it. And for all you Stowe players out there, I hope you feel me when I say, what did they do to my ship?
I haven't seen it.
You're just not gonna let it go, are you?
Well, I got the straight answer from Thomas after the battle and the big war they had with the Iconian. I think that's what he said. It was the Iconian battle.
The Iconian War, yeah.
Yes, that the Enterprise was heavily damaged and went back and was refit into the new configuration, and that is why the Enterprise F now has the not the Sojourner. Is it Sojourner?
Yeah, the forward slope pylons.
Yeah, the forward slope pylons and stuff like that. So that's what it is. And again, it's I'm salty, but I'm not salty. I'm joking around with them. I'm glad they're evolving the game as they see fit and all that kind of stuff. But my original Enterprise is gone.
There's a lot of people that still fly that old version, though.
Oh, I do. I got 6 of them, all different configurations, but they're all with the back swept nacelles.
I still have my original Odyssey and Dry Dock.
Let me put it this way: the Odyssey, the original, I still think is the most beautiful ship in this entire game. Period.
They did good. They really did a good job.
Stop, Adam! Stop sucking up to Adam.
I'm actually being honest.
Well, and you know what? I can suck up to Adam because Adam Williams took what I gave them and made a beautiful ship.
Too many Adams.
Too many Adams.
Too many
on the dance floor.
I actually have a last call for once.
I thought I hit you with a whiskey.
But I actually have a thing to mention.
Okay.
Nintendo has sold 4 million SNES Classics worldwide as of today. Or as of, I guess, end of the year. And has reconfirmed that they are bringing the NES Classic back to sell alongside the SNES Classic.
Good, because I wanted one and I missed it. I don't care about the SNES Classic. When they bring the N64 Classic out, be happy.
Oh, hell yeah.
In addition to that, in the first 9 months of the Switch's release, they sold 14.86 million, which is more than they sold in the 5 years that the Wii U was out.
The Wii U was just not a good design.
And then they started making cardboard.
Labo looks awesome.
$40 for a cardboard box, dude. You're spending $40 for a cardboard box.
Have you looked and seen how complex some of the inner workings of some of those setups are?
Cardboard box.
I don't care. That Labo looks amazing.
It's a cardboard box. They're basically not only is it a cardboard box, but you got to put it together yourself.
Can we all appreciate one thing though from Nintendo?
Can we all appreciate that Adam is making this joke when people go out and spend, hundreds of dollars on little tiny pieces of plastic that they have to put together themselves?
I know.
So, can we all appreciate that one of the best-selling games for the Nintendo Switch is not even an original Nintendo IP?
What is it?
Xenoblade.
The fact that they're getting Dark Souls?
They sold 1.7 million copies.
Or the fact
that they re-released Mario Kart 8 on the Switch and have already sold almost as many copies as they sold on the Wii U.
Speaking of Mario Kart, did you hear Nintendo announce today?
Oh yeah, it's coming to
Mario
mobile.
Kart for mobile phones.
Did
you?
Yes.
Well,
that's a lot of last calls, guys.
Okay, but this is actually one thing because it kind of focuses on what we do, as well as something that we always rail against, which is media in regards to at least nerdy media and everything, taking a side or skewing things, because we don't want to get the political part of that because we can go on. When they announced the remastering of Dark Souls, nobody was mentioning the fact that it was coming out of the Switch, because despite the fact that the Switch has been incredibly successful ever since the Switch came out, it has been a narrative of the games media, that it's a failure.
It has been nothing but railed on, and it's like, have you looked at the sales? Looked at the people talking about playing this thing?
The sales numbers for the Switch and for the popular games are through the roof.
My son is over halfway saving up his money. My 6-year-old son is dead set. He is going to buy himself a Nintendo Switch. It has been a bone of contention with him that he didn't get one for Christmas, and we told him why. It's like, we're not buying you a $300 toy. Sorry, not going to happen. You can buy your own $300 toy with your saved up money that you get for birthdays and Christmases. And he's like, okay, and I will. And he's halfway there.
I would very much like to get one. I was on the fence about it. This is how much of a nerd I am for a very particular game franchise. I was on the fence about it. Mario Odyssey came out. That's cool. Breath of the Wild.
It is a cool game.
That's pretty sweet. 15-second teaser that just says Metroid Prime 4. I'm getting me a Switch.
I creamed my pants. I did.
I don't.
Yes.
You know what? I played the game. Me and my son. He's all about the Switch. We went to GameStop. And instantly right to it, and it's awkward. The controls are awkward.
It depends, because if you get the Pro controller, it's more normal. But if you're using
Yeah.
the Joy-Con,
Oh yeah,
they are
the right Joy-Con is very oddly positioned.
My wife was almost like, "Oh, he can't get one of those for himself. It's just another console." I was like, "No, research it." And when she found out that you can just take it with you and go, she's like, "It's like a DS." I was like, "It's a DS. It's a console all in one." He would have it wherever he wanted to play games. He could take to his room quietly, put a headset on, and we'd never know. It wouldn't be listening to like, "It's me, Mario," all day. We wouldn't hear it because that's all he wants to do is play Mario Odyssey. He loves that game, and I was like, "You save your money." And I told him I would make up whatever little difference. If there's a small enough difference, I'll make it up. But he has to get to a certain point. He's almost there, so I'm like, "Okay, looks like we're getting a Switch."
Mario Odyssey has an amazing theme song.
It's just a really good game too.
Oh yeah.
For a Mario game, and it's like, what? I mean, just watching my younger children try to play the original Mario Brothers on my old Nintendo that I have is hilarious because they just can't do it. They're so used to the monster graphics that are out now and all the 3D stuff. Any side scroller with 8-bit graphics on it throws them so far off the loop that it's just, how do you jump? Why am I jumping? I was like, what? It's so easy. It's like, how are you doing that? It's like you hand it to them and they don't know what to do. It's hilarious.
Get your entertainment where you can.
Yeah. It's like you can sit there and play every Lego game and all these 3D games that got you going in 7 different directions at once, and you can keep that straight, but a side scroller in 2 dimensions and you don't know when to jump.
Now, I'm not saying that there aren't bad games with Mario in it, but the main line of Mario games, I don't think there's been a bad one.
All I know is, can you imagine?
Even Sunshine, which some people poo-poo.
Mario Sunshine is one of my favorite Mario games of all time.
Give me an N64 classic.
The N64 library is so strange, though. I just don't know if they're going to go there.
Yeah, you just put a remastered version of Star Wars in there.
But yeah, put some of the Star Wars games on there. Put Mario 64, Pokemon Snap, like the entire Pokemon Stadium collection.
On there?
Okay, look. Pokemon Snap was my first N64 game, so you can kiss my ass.
Like Firefly suggests GoldenEye, knives only, go.
Yes.
I could see Smash Brothers being on there. The problem with GoldenEye would be getting the rights.
The problem with GoldenEye is the graphic. You have to update graphics.
Ocarina would have to be on there.
I would love to
wrap it up.
Yeah, we should wrap it up. But I would love to see the NES Classic played on a 4K TV to see what it looks like. Because I know what my Nintendo 8-bit plays on there, and it's horrific. It just doesn't translate well, so I just want to know what it looks like.
There is some upscaling, though.
I would hope there's some upscaling stuff, but I'm just the thought of I know how bad Shadows of the Empire looks playing it on my PC because I have it on the PC, and thank you, good old games. So it was like playing that, but just the idea if someone were to go back and take that game engine and then throw the graphics that we have for Battlefront into that game, I would never stop playing. I would lose on purpose. I love that game. I'm sorry, I really did. That Skyhook battle, if they could update that, oh. But, okay,
the controls are really awkward in that game.
They really were, but...
The tank controls, it's just strange.
Dude, in 1996, that was like the greatest thing.
Wrap it up.
It was like the greatest thing. I mean, if you were a Star Wars fan in 1996 playing that game, and you were like, oh my god, I'm in the movies. And then you play it nowadays.
Let's stop.
We're done. You got me all Nintendo'd out. Well, we'll be back next week. We'll be talking more Discovery. I'm sure that this next coming episode will be pretty good, and we'll talk about that. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which we didn't even come close to talking about on this show, which I wanted to, but we never did.
Ward.
It's going to be Ward.
No!
He comes from Kung Lun.
I can't take it being Ward. No.
To paraphrase InSync, it's gonna be Ward. But yeah, let's see. We'll be back next week, same bad time, same bad channel listening, because I don't know who you are on YouTube, who's listening to us on YouTube, but thanks for sticking around. Firefly, as always, thank you. And whoever listens to us in the other recordings, because I know people are listening, thank you very much. And we'll be back next week. Say goodnight, boys.
Good night, boys.
Good night, boys.
Night.
Just waiting for me to push that button, aren't you? Just waiting. It's like Sesame Street. It reminds me of Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Listen.